Is your business pootling along instead of firing on all cylinders? Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and frustrated? Do your dreams of financial freedom feel a long way off? Are you fed up of feeling little when you have big ideas? Then this is the podcast for you. Little Voice, Big Business, with your host, Nadia Finer.
Hi there and welcome to Little Voice Big Business with me, Nadia Finer, and today I'm joined by a lovely special guest, Penny Bennett, who is a style consultant, and Penny is going to be talking to us about personal branding and style and why it's important for us to look the part when we're creating our businesses. Hey, Penny.
Hi, Nadia. How are you?
I'm good. Now, it's funny talking to you on a podcast because I feel like we could just chat all day, you and I, as friends, but we're trying to be a little bit sensible now, aren't we?
Definitely. We've got our professional hats on at this point.
Although not actually hats, because that's not part of our look.
No, it's not. But the T-shirt that you're wearing is definitely part of your brand and your look. So
yeah, I should just explain that I'm wearing a T-shirt that says Troublemaker on it, and I love it so much. But when I wear it, it actually makes me feel like causing mayhem and mischief.
Absolutely. It's so true because what you wear affects how you feel about yourself.
It does. And I think that's why it's really important to consider what we're wearing, not just personally, but for our businesses, because it's going to affect how we feel and how we work. And ultimately, I do believe the success of our business can be affected by what we wear.
Because it's not only about how you feel, but it's also about how other people perceive you and how you're communicating and how they're receiving that communication.
And so should we start off by talking about personal style and what do you think it is? Like, what does it mean when we talk about personal style?
Personal style is just your interpretation of clothes and what you enjoy wearing, what makes you feel confident, what is authentic to you. And authenticity is such a kind of buzzword at the moment, but I think for good reason because we're so bombarded with so much information. I think people are just really looking for something honest, something they can trust. And the way that you communicate your personal brand through your image really allows you to do that, to show your authenticity and what your brand is all about.
When you're working with your clients, how important is it that they perhaps find the balance between personal style and, say, fashion?
Yeah, I think there is something that they need to reconcile, definitely. But I would say that your style is who you are as a person, and the fashion, you buy into the bits of fashion that you enjoy, the bits that you love, and then you use the fashion to interpret it in your own way. And also it depends on what you do for a job. So for my clients who are in a very corporate space, but they really kind of love fashion and enjoy keeping up with the trends, and it's all about how can we do that in a way that is appropriate for a workplace. So for them, it's all about nuances that show that they are the person they are while still being appropriate for that corporate culture.
And I'm really intrigued to find out more about your work, like your day-to-day work. So I've been nosing around on your website.
Yes.
And I saw that you've worked with some very interesting people, including some pretty high-up journalists.
Yes.
And people in magazines and fashion. So talk us through, your day. Like, what do you do when you're working? What does it look like?
So each day, depending on what stage I'm at with a client. So, for example, yesterday I was working with a client that I've worked with for quite a few years now. So it's a case of I know exactly what's in her wardrobe, what her lifestyle's like. She sends me a list of events that she's got over the next few months. And I go to her house and we look at her wardrobe and say, okay, what is she going to be wearing to those events? Where is the event? What type of people are going to be attending those events? Is it the same type of people she's going to be seeing at the subsequent events? And we spent 4 hours choosing clothes from her wardrobe and outfitting clothes that are appropriate for the events that she's got coming up, and then day-to-day kind of school run and lunches with friends and things like that. So it really depends on where, as I said, where at what stage I'm at with a client. So for new clients, it's a case of kind of, going to their house, meeting with them, chatting with them, going through their kind of Pinterest inspiration board with it, which I get them to do before I meet them, really getting to the heart of how they want to look, what their lifestyle is like, and then editing their wardrobe, reorganizing it, and then again, kind of if we've, putting outfits together that are appropriate for their lifestyle, and also just fine tuning it and giving a fresh perspective on things they've already got. And then other days I'm shopping. So tomorrow I'm in Harvey Nicks. I'll pre-select all the items that my client needs before she gets there. She meets me at lunchtime and we spend the afternoon in a personal shopping suite trying all the outfits on and putting all the outfits together, so she goes home with a beautiful new capsule wardrobe.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing. So it's kind of, I'm thinking that's like one end of the spectrum and one way to dress.
Yeah.
And then perhaps the way I get ready is probably at the other end of the spectrum. That's like, what can I pick up off,
off the floor?
Or this, I was going to say the floor, but I thought maybe don't say the floor because...
I don't do it. Kate Moss is synonymous with, she's been interviewed so many times where she just said, I just pick up literally whatever's on the floor. And I believe her because she's just so cool. She can literally put on any old t-shirt and jeans and she just looks amazing. So
yeah, I think
you've got the Kate Moss attitude to dressing, Nadia. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think I've got the attitude, but perhaps not with the results. So that's why you're here. So to give us some tips. So I'm intrigued as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
These days, it's very visual what we do.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember when I first started coaching, I was thinking, well, my work is not visual because it's cerebral. It's from based on what goes on in my head, and it's a conversation with a client. But ultimately, nowadays, all work is visual because we have to present ourselves to the world through video, through Instagram. We're constantly being seen. And I know I joke about going global in your pajamas, and I do believe that still, but frankly those pajamas need to be nice pajamas. Absolutely. Like, you can't be on Instagram wearing some like moth-eaten disgusting grey old PJs, can you? You need to be on brand. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think because when I first started doing this 10 years ago, that kind of consideration of your online digital footprint in terms of what videos are on there, what photos are available to people, that wasn't a huge consideration when I first started doing this. It's just done, the idea of first impressions is just done a total 360. So now when people hear about you, so people listen to this podcast, they're then going to Google me. So they'll be able to get an idea. Obviously, they've heard me speak, so they've got an idea of what type of person I am. But from a visual perspective, they're going to meet me visually before they meet me physically. This is a really interesting kind of, turn that I just wasn't dealing with when I first started styling. So in terms of working with clients from that perspective, last week a client of mine was getting some fresh photos taken to update her photos. And so we talked about, okay, what outfits is she going to be wearing? She's got different type of clients. So she works with some creative clients, but she also works with some corporate clients. So we did 2 photos. We did one where she let her fashion personality sing a little bit more. And we did one that was a little bit more restrained. But again, we used a bit of print. So there's still like nuances of her, but was more appropriate for a corporate environment. We did some black and whites. We talked about the posture that she was going to have. So visually, it is massive. It has a massive impact because people will already make a snap decision about you from what they've seen online. They'll think, does this person look professional? Do they look forward thinking? Do they look competent? Do they look inspiring? Do they look creative? Do they look approachable? And people will make decisions based on what they've seen online.
Yeah, and I think it's not enough anymore to just have a headshot, because one headshot. I remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to have one photo of myself, which had been professionally taken, and I was pretty happy with how I looked in it. And so I just,
Yep.
this was about 10 years ago, I just used it for everything. This one solitary photo of my cheesy grin at the camera, on that, that one moment where I had decent makeup and my hair was all in place and I looked pretty presentable. Now, it's not enough these days, is it? Because if you think about the number of selfies we take, the number of times we present ourselves visually day in, day out, it isn't enough even to just have, say 3 outfits. It's about, you kind of need a whole wardrobe of items, don't you? So that you look like you've got more than three tops in your closet.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this comes down to kind of being consistent as well, because you have those photos done. Obviously, you make a huge effort for the photos. You say kind of your hair and your makeup done, but for people to trust you and for you to kind of build relationships with your clients, there needs to be consistency. So they want to see that you're always on your game, that you've always got your finger on the pulse of the market. So to do that, there needs to be some consistency, and that's where if you struggle with that side of things, you find it overwhelming, you don't have time or the inclination to do it, that's when working with an expert really becomes invaluable, because you save not only time, but it just gives you the confidence to know that you're pitching it just right.
Yeah, and I've got a funny story. I don't even know why I'm going to tell you this, but I think it's important. So I've been talking to a friend about style, and we were discussing kind of the way we've dressed over the years, and I completely forgot that a number of pictures of me are featured on Facebook, where I've been tagged in pictures over the years, and I've had terrible hair because I went through a crazy period of time where I was growing my hair, and also really bad outfits, and I physically perhaps wasn't looking my best, and there's these terrible pictures of me, and I've just realized that that 5-6 years later they're still there. And they're not on brand because they don't fit with. I'm clearly not dressed in my own style. Goodness knows what I was thinking. I was trying to impress some people, whatever. But I look awful, and I've just realised that I can not only just untag myself, and therefore they won't show up. That would be a good.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Secondly, that these things have a habit of lurking and haunting you for years, but also how important it is to consider not just everything you create going forward, but the things from the past. And, it really can damage your brand if there are photos or videos of you where you're not looking kind of aligned or authentic. It's not cool, is it?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a really great quote from the businessman Warren Buffett, and it's it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you will do things differently. And I love that. I try and think about that as much as I can, because as you say, the amount of time and money and effort you put into getting your clients, and then you build such a great reputation, and suddenly something happens and it ruins it. But from an image perspective as well, Nadia, I think it's all about, I'm such a firm believer in evolution. And I think that's why my clients work with me season in, season out, year on year, is because everyone's made mistakes. I mean, the perfect example of this is Victoria Beckham. If we think back to her days when she was a footballer's wife, and now I cannot tell you how many clients have her image on their pin board when they send me their inspirational images. She's just the perfect example of someone that has done such a brilliant job at evolving her personal brand and building it to be so successful. And all the things you associate with her brand now are definitely not what you associate with her brand back in the footballer's wives' days. So it is really important, but also if you have made mistakes in the past, how can you move your style forward? How can you move your image and your personal brand forward so that it represents who you want to be?
Yeah, I love that. And I guess forgiving ourselves for our past mistakes.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's had I had a perm when I was 14. So, we've all been there.
Yeah, mine looked like a perm, but unfortunately wasn't really actually a perm. It's natural. So
Yeah,
I think I'm just going to have to burn those pictures and move on. So
exactly.
we're moving on and we are creating a personal brand in our businesses. And I help my clients to do this on the business side.
Yeah.
How would someone go about starting to think of the way they dress and how that should reflect their brand? Like, what should we do? Assuming, you've got an idea strategically, my business is all about this, that, and the other, some key points. So, for example, it's all about being approachable and friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Then what do you do? How do you build a look for yourself?
Are you working crazy hours for tiny profits? Are you sick of feeling so little? Of letting your doubts and insecurities hold you back? It's time to get unstuck and work smarter. It's time to scale up and go global in your PJs. Let Nadia Finer show you how with her new book, Little Me, Big Business. It's the ultimate guide to scaling your one-person business, rocketing your profits, and going global, all from the comfort of your sofa. You may be on your own, but you don't have to do it alone. No more playing small. No more limitations on what you can achieve. It's time to kick fear in the face and turn your tiny profits into big bucks. Order your copy today on Amazon or download the first chapter for free at nadiafiner.com/chapter.
Okay, so as you said, is all about, and I do this with my clients as well, so I set their intention from the beginning. How can their image support where they want to be, either from a lifestyle perspective or from a career perspective? So, for example, as you said, being approachable, being authentic. So I worked with a client who was moving from a very kind of corporate office space job to being an entrepreneur in the tech world. So for her, it was about, how do I take my wardrobe that is very kind of corporate and how do I then make it appropriate as a CEO of a tech company? And this is a kind of very prominent tech company. I mean, it's been featured in kind of all the major kind of tech magazines like TechCrunch and etc. And she's actually been flown around the world to do conferences and things like that. So how can she move from the job that she was before, but then be approachable? So she's in a tech space, so she needs to be much more casual. She can wear jeans where before in her corporate world she couldn't. So how do we kind of translate that now into the space that she's in? So, and I think, using keywords, as you say, what your brand represents. So if your brand is creative, do you look creative? If your brand is forward thinking, do you look like you're forward thinking? And that is about thinking about, if you need to be approachable, then, having a photo taken where you're wearing a black suit with a white shirt isn't going to work. So thinking about doing softer lines. So it could be, doing knitwear as opposed to doing, a kind of crisp cotton shirt. If you're wearing a jacket, maybe wearing it with jeans instead of doing a kind of full suit. It's just about kind of casualizing it, but still looking professional at the same time. But it is just about thinking about those kind of key points and how your style can reflect that.
Okay, that sounds like sensible and achievable advice. And I've actually got a photo shoot coming up. So I've been planning some outfits. So
Okay,
I have
good.
no idea
Perfect.
who's done it right. What I've done so far, it has involved spending a lot of money. Where I've gone online and bought random items which I think fit my brand.
Okay, good.
I've bought some shirts, like blouse,
Perfect.
blouses that have large kind of polka dots on them in different colours
Brilliant.
that match my brand.
Perfect.
I've bought some pink trousers, which I'll never wear other than for business, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And
You've got to give yourself permission just to have things for certain. I think people panic about this. They need to have pieces that kind of translate for kind of any situation. But I think it's good to give yourself permission to have things that, like, I will just wear that when I'm going to a party, or I will just wear that for meetings. I think it's good to do that.
Yeah,
so
I think
trousers sound good.
That's what I was thinking, because in real life, I
Yeah.
will wear a lot of active wear.
Yeah.
I would wear
Jeans and
jeans,
t-shirts.
t-shirts that say troublemaker.
Absolutely.
And I would wear black and grey and navy.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, what I've done is try to find things that reflect my business brand,
Definitely.
which are maybe brighter than I would normally wear. So I've, like you said, I think I've given myself permission that I'm not going to wear this to the pub because it's a bit bright, but I would wear it in a video or giving a talk. Do you think that sounds...
Yeah, that sounds perfect. So, you want to feel it's no, you're going about it the right way, definitely. So thinking about your brand and how your clothes reflect your brand, but also you want to feel confident in it. So, if your brand color is green, for example, but you don't suit green or look good in green, you don't have to wear green for the photo. So it's not only just about your brand, but it's also about what colors are going to look good on you. What's going to make your skin look amazing, what's going to make you look like you've had 12 hours sleep. But also from a style perspective, what is going to be really flattering. And I think the really key point, which a lot of people don't do, which sounds so obvious, is they don't actually photograph themselves in the outfit that they're planning on wearing, because you can look in the mirror and think that it works, but I would just, and from some of my clients, even the thought of taking a selfie of their own outfit just feels hideous. But stand in front of a full-length mirror, take a photo and look back at the photo and just check to make sure that actually, is it working? Are the proportions right? Does that color look great on me? And also think about how you're going to be positioned in the photo. So are you going to be sitting down? Is it comfortable? Are you going to look awkward? Does the blouse kind of pop open at the front if you kind of lean back? It's just thinking about all these little details to make it work. But
oh my God, where have you been? I needed to know this, honestly.
So have you done that? Have you tried the outfits on and photographed yourself yet?
Well, they haven't arrived yet. So
okay.
What I'm going to do is when they come, I'll piece them together. But you've just reminded me of a terrible thing where I did a talk in Las Vegas last year. And I obviously spent time planning my talk, wrote the talk, practiced the talk a little bit. And so I was pretty prepared. I was so prepared, I even flew to Las Vegas to give the talk. So I must have put effort in. But when it came to the outfit, my approach was I will sling a bunch of random items into my case.
Suitcase. Yep.
Okay. Please don't. You have to not judge me when I tell you this.
Oh, Nadia, this is so familiar. I can't even tell you, don't worry.
On the day of the talk, I'm thinking, okay, I don't even really know what I'm going to wear. So what I'll do is I'll just make it up. So on the morning, I just chucked on some things. And then I was literally there 5 minutes before I needed to leave the hotel room, chopping and changing and trying to decide what looked good. So then I thought, actually, no, I've nailed it. I wore like a casual wide leg trouser with a pink top, like a shell vest thing and jacket. And I thought, it's hot, so I'll wear my sandals. And I don't want to look too kind of too put together, so I'll wear my Birkenstocks. Oh my God, this is it's so bad in the video.
Oh God, do you have photographic evidence of this?
I'm not telling you where it is. People will have to go and find it on my website. I look like a weirdo. Sort of, I don't know, it looked like I was wearing a suit, which was not my intention.
Yeah,
and a jacket,
with sandals.
With sandals left this like huge expanse of pink in the middle where my boobs are, and they just look massive, and then nothing was like drawing the eye. Oh my God. And it's on video, and this video is of a good talk. I've wasted this opportunity of having a professionally made video of me, like a show reel, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I look like a lunatic. I look a fat lunatic. And also, I looked in the mirror and I thought, does that look all right? I don't really know. I think it looks okay. Who knows? I didn't take a picture. I was completely disorganized. Also, the cut of the trousers and then this top, it was too big and it just made it like a house. Really bad.
Oh, Nadia, I shouldn't laugh. But yeah, that's it's all the key points basically. So whatever Nadia said, just do the total antithesis of that.
Don't make those mistakes.
So
I'm
yeah,
such a
being
fool.
prepared is such an important one. And it sounds so obvious. I mean, being prepared, it sounds obvious. Taking a photo of your outfit sounds obvious. But these are things that we just don't do. My clients don't do it. The client I was telling you about that I was working with yesterday, that I was looking at her diary of events, and I'm talking about one of the events is today. So she called me at the beginning of the week and she said, oh my God, I've got 8 events in the next 3 weeks and I have no idea what I'm wearing. And we always leave it to the last minute, but as long as there's even if it's the night before, and it just really impacts on, I mean, it's great that you didn't feel flustered in the talk. It's great that you kind of felt professional, but visually, I think also people need to reconcile between what they're seeing visually. Does this person look professional, composed? Do they look like an expert? Because what is coming out of her mouth says that she is, but what I'm seeing visually doesn't kind of reconcile. So I think it's really important that those two work together. And when it comes to first impressions, I mean, when you like face-to-face first impressions, 55% of the impression is made on what you look like visually. So, and then people quickly move on to what you're saying and how you're saying it. But if the first impression of someone, people might think, oh, she doesn't really look like, she's, a really professional expert in business coaching. So it's just about visually being on message.
And I think you have to feel confident, but there's, like you said, there's a lot of things to consider. So whereby I thought, I want to look slim, so I wore loose clothing, which in fact didn't.
Sometimes can be counterproductive.
It was counterproductive.
Yeah.
I wore something which was on brand in terms of colour, but not on brand in terms of vibe.
Yes.
So that was the mistake. And then also I think maybe another thing to consider is makeup, because when you're on camera, you do have to cake it on, don't you?
Definitely. I think that's it, especially for my male clients. They do forget about the details, like as you say, the shoes, like you wore Birkenstocks, even just forgetting about the details like the shoes and the grooming. It's really important that you remember the details. So if you're not good at doing your makeup, get someone to do it. Make sure that your hair is done. It's really important that if you spend so much effort on your outfit and then suddenly it's undermined by, poor grooming or bad shoe choice.
Oh my God, the shoe choice. These sounds comfortable. And I wasn't hot. I was like, this is cool. It's really hot weather here. But I think what made it worse as well, and this is another thing to consider, was everyone else on the stage was wearing like cocktail dresses.
Yeah.
Like they were so smart, and they were all like trussed up in these, it was clear
power dresses.
They were wearing power dresses, and there was a lot of Spanx involved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could tell. And I just thought, honestly, I'm not doing that. But in my desire to not wear Spanx, I went completely the other way and to let it all hang out, and it wasn't a good look. So I think there were lessons learned, there were mistakes made, and we're going to move on from that.
Absolutely.
So I think if people are listening to this, they're probably thinking, well, I'm hoping there are lots of people listening to this. People are thinking, okay, so I need to think about my colours, I need to think about the shapes, the moment, like what it's for, how I want people to feel, how I in all this kind of stuff. Can you give us, like, say, a couple of top tips just to help people to get started?
Okay, so
overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, it is overwhelming. What I would say is understanding your colouring and understanding your body shape are two really, really important things. The colouring just makes such a massive difference in terms of, how you look, but also it makes a massive difference in terms of shopping successfully and putting outfits together. So understanding how to combine colours, whether, if you've got bright colouring, then maybe you can wear colours that are kind of a little bit more clashing. If you've got, soft kind of blended colouring, then wearing more tonal combinations. So the colouring is so important, and understanding your body as well. So, if you look really great in high-waisted trousers, why do you look great in high-waisted trousers? Is that because it elongates your leg? Is that because it highlights your tiny waist? So really thinking about what works for you. And if that's, if you're struggling with that and you find that really hard, then work with a professional to help you to do it. Another really good thing is thinking about, like for you, I know you said that you went through lots of different hair styles and things, but choosing a signature. So for me, for your brand, Nadia, that your hair, the fact that you've got a crop is part of a signature of your brand. If you turned up tomorrow, not tomorrow, because obviously it takes time to grow your hair, but if you turned up, a couple of months' time with a curly bob, we would think,
yes,
what's happened to Nadia?
Cool.
So, thinking about, what is your signature? I have a client that I worked with a couple of weeks ago, a male client who's becoming quite prominent on Instagram, and he loves wearing hats. So that has become part of his signature brand. So a flat cap is, specifically is the hat that he really loves, and it's now such a signature for him. So we're styling all his outfits around the flat cap. For Christine Lagarde, for example, she always wears a beautiful scarf. I know Madeleine Albright had a really, I don't know, there's a book that she wrote that is called Read My Pin. So basically she used to wear, Americans call brooches pins. So she used to wear different brooches depending on who she was meeting. So she heard,
cool.
So cool. So she heard that Saddam Hussein said that he said that she was a serpent, I think was the word that he used. So when she went to meet him, she wore a pin that was a snake. And so people would read her pin depending on if she liked you, she'd wear like a sun or a flower or something kind of, if she didn't like you, there'd be like, a snake or, a rat with red eyes or something. So it became so much of her signature and a way of her kind of communicating how she was feeling, how people would respond to her. So if you've got a signature and something that if it's something that you're always complimented on. So if, you always wear, there's a certain blouse that you wear that's maybe, in pink or red or orange, and people say, oh, you look great in that color, then that can be, build on those things that that you're doing right and go from there.
Oh, that's great advice. And I must say, I wish I could send, was it Madeleine Albright or Christine Lagarde?
Madeleine Albright was the pins, but Christine Lagarde just always wears beautiful scarves, and it's such a part of her brand.
So with Madeleine, I've got a pin that I should send her that says, it's not very subtle. It says...
I don't think Madeleine wasn't subtle, so she'd probably...
No, she might like it. It says, don't be a dick.
Absolutely, which is what she should, instead of this, she shouldn't have been so subtle with the snake. She should have that pin that said, don't be a dick.
Oh my God, that would be hilarious. Okay.
But I know it's a huge. I know people are thinking, oh, it's such a huge investment to work with someone. But I just, you're working with an expert gives you time and it gives you confidence. So what can be done really quickly? You've got peace of mind. I know clients, they email me and they say, I had all these things pop up that I didn't know I was going to. I had a last minute meeting at work and I knew that I looked great and I was on brand. I had to do, went up to a parents' evening and knew that I was dressed appropriately. So it just really gives you peace of mind, and it gives you time back, from wandering around stores aimlessly looking for some Birkenstocks to go with your suit. It's going to stop you from doing that.
It would definitely save you time, but also for me, I think it would save so much money. Because when you buy something and you're convinced it's amazing, and then you realise, I keep buying things and I think, that looks good. Oh no, it really doesn't look good. And I've just spent, £50 or £100 on something and I'm never going to wear it again.
Yeah, definitely. That's the feedback that I get from my clients, that it's a huge investment and some of them spend more than what they anticipated that they would spend. But then the feedback is, I value that 10 times more than the money that I've spent. So just the confidence, they know that they've got all the bases covered. They don't need to buy any new clothes because they've got everything sitting in their wardrobe that's appropriate for all these different kind of situations that they've got, saving them money. Because most of my clients aren't mega rich. They're not, ultra privileged, but they understand the value of it and they benefit massively.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so if people are listening to this and they're thinking, man, I need to never wear Birkenstocks with a suit like Nadia did because it would be foolish, how do they get in touch? Obviously, they can head over to your website, penny-bennett.com.
Yep. So even if you Google Penny Bennett, then I'm proud to say that I dominate that first page. So you'll be able to contact me. Go into my website, click on contact, sign up to my website, and you automatically get my top 10 list for perfecting your wardrobe that you can do at home on your own. Sign up to my newsletter, and then I send it out monthly, so it's not overwhelming. But every month I give a how-to tip on. So last month I did how to dress for an interview, but I also give shopping tips as well. So I'll pick, my top 5. Last month there was my top 5 trench coats. So there's really targeted hints and tips that you can pick up. And it also on that same page gives you opportunity to book in for a discovery call. Give me a call. We'll talk for 20 minutes. I mean, sometimes I talk for longer because I just love talking, finding out where people are with their style and how we can move your style forward.
That sounds amazing. And if somebody's listening and they don't live anywhere near you, can you still work with people remotely?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So I've got a client who lives in India. I've got another client who lives in Hanoi. I've got clients who live in Australia. So from a remote perspective, the process is the same. It's the same attention that I give my clients who I work face-to-face with, but we will just do it over. So we do the initial consultation over Skype, and the shopping then becomes online selection that they then can click through and buy. And then we do a follow-up Skype session to style all the pieces together so they're outfit perfect.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much, Penny. So I love the fact that you have gone global in your business, although not in your pajamas. Because you rocked up to your client meetings in pajamas.
I do have trousers that look a little bit pajama-y, but not literal pajamas.
Not literal pajamas. Well, that's great. And thank you for sharing all these amazing tips. And I'm sure that people are going to love heading over to your site and checking out your guide. And I mean, I for one, I love the idea of like tips telling you which trench coat to buy, because you can definitely go wrong with a trench coat.
Absolutely. It's actually one of the trickiest things.
Yeah,
from a color perspective, it's really tricky. So,
you've inspired me loads, and I think it's time I take myself in hand, and I think that lots of us are going to be thinking about what we wear a bit more closely now, so thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nadia. It was brilliant.
Is your business stuck? Are you working crazy hours, feeling overwhelmed, stressed, alone? What a nightmare. You want help and need a coach, but can't afford a coach. Introducing Coachika, the business coaching hotline, giving you strategy, advice, mindset, clarity, with real-life support right when you need it. It's like having a business coach in your pocket, there when you need help. Get unstuck, launch, attract new clients. It's up to you. Stay stuck or take action. Head over to nadiafiner.com/Coachika. Little voice, big